With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, and an app that lets you bank anytime, anywhere, choosing Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
Hey, what's happening from a little baseball diamond out here in St. Johns County? Bartram Trail High School, one of the top teams in the state, Class 7A. We figured Major League Baseball opening day might as well have a baseball field as the setting. Brent Martineau here on the road once again. We'll be on the road really all week, going to Hidden Hills Country Club tomorrow, part of the Dream 18 card that you can get on ESPN690.com. So come on out to Hidden Hills tomorrow. And today, come down to Bartram Trail and see some good baseball, even softball here, and get a little wind as well, because it's a breezy day here on a Thursday. We've had a temperature shift. I think the cold front has gone through or something like that, because it was crazy warm yesterday and a little on the cooler side today. Austin Lane back in the Action Sports Jack studios. Coos as well. What's happening?
Nothing much, man. Just watching the Brewers-Twins game right now.
What time did they go? 2 o'clock?
2:10 was the official start time. Check your local listings.
Yeah, I got to love that Central time with those 2:10 Eastern starts.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got Major League Baseball opening day. People locked in. You got the Yankees that helped tip things off. A 2-2 game right now with the Blue Jays, an exciting team. Blue Jays trying to make an early statement. I don't know how big of a statement you can make in a 162-game season in day one. But the Tigers up 3-0. Pirates, on the Indians that is, Pirates up 2-1 over the Cubs. That's early. And you mentioned the Brew Crew. Why don't I see their score?
0-0 right now.
Just got going an hour ago, but I can't even find it in my they must not put that one in the headlines of my scores. I have to dig deep.
Only for the diehards, Brent. Only for the diehard baseball fans.
Rocco Baldelli's against the Brew Crew.
You better believe it.
So we will talk a little bit about baseball. You know, we got to finish a couple of things yesterday. We have to do it. We did our annual leadoff hitter of the year contest, but we also have to do our Judge versus Stanton. Who you picking to win the homer?
Is that an annual thing?
It's got to be, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I hope they one wins that like with 12 home runs.
Yeah.
But we will do that, and we got all through our picks, and we never did the World Series.
Kind of
totally forgot about it.
It's a good point.
So we'll get to that, and we will do that along the way. So good to be here. Hey, some of the NFL rule changes, the NFL owners' meetings are going on in a virtual way. It's interesting. These are events that we usually would cover. And in the last year, there's so many things that we don't cover because we're not allowed to be there. And I'm still not really sure my mental calendar has, got us back to normalcy. And I guess in reality, we're not fully back to normalcy, but it feels like we're headed there. But as long as they have virtual events still, like these owners' meetings, and we're not allowed to go down there and kind of see the lay of the land and what everybody's talking about, you almost forget about some of these events. But we got the 17-game season. Now they're going through some of the rule changes, a little bit more replay potentially, the eye in the sky. I do like the concept of that, Austin, because I think if there's an egregious mistake, I always call it the PW3 button, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can say it from your couch, then somebody in that stadium or somebody in New York or somebody wherever should be able to say, whoa, guys, this is crazy, all right? Now we're hurting the integrity of the sport a little bit because we missed one so badly.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with that. Doesn't look like they're going to add an eighth official, but they might add that element where somebody can kind of come in and not just help with some of the things they already help with, but maybe say, hey, guys, you really missed this one. Let's take a look. I don't mind that.
No, I mean, the more eyes on it, the better, as long as it doesn't get too convoluted and slow the game down too much. But I would rather them, take the extra couple minutes, have an extra set of eyes on it to make the right call, as opposed to, a team getting screwed over when the game's on the line, and then also you don't go to the playoffs, you don't advance to the playoffs because of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, you don't want something, especially in a big-time spot. And the NFL is only 17 weeks, so big-time spots can be certainly judgmental. One game can cost you a whole heck of a lot. We'll go through some of these rules and some of the things that, teams are even proposing The Ravens are the ones that they proposed to add that eighth official that would have access to television replay and be positioned somewhere other than the field. Now, the question is, can you do all that stuff quickly? And maybe you can. No overtime in the preseason. I think that's good enough, right? I mean, everybody plays to avoid overtime in the preseason anyway.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it doesn't count against the record at all. Maybe the Baltimore Ravens got an issue with it because they're undefeated for the past decade, it seems like, in preseason. But overall, I'm cool with that. You don't want to elongate meaningless games, so cool.
All right, so listen to this one. Allowing a maximum of 9 players in the setup zone, in quotes, the 15-yard area behind the restraining line when set up for a kickoff return. This proposal could make it a bit easier to recover onside kicks, a challenge that has grown harder since the NFL's 2018 revamp of the kickoff. The Eagles proposed a more radical change, giving teams an option for one play to gain 15 yards to keep possession after a score, but similar suggestions have failed to receive enough votes in previous years. There was some talk that theory, that idea had gained some momentum. I still feel like that's a little bit gimmicky to me, but I also believe I would fall in love with it quickly, the whole 15-yard play. I do think they have to do something to give me an opportunity to give my team a chance that I feel like a chance. I still have a chance. The onside kick right now, Austin, is like, you ain't recovering that, right? I mean, it's just so more often than listen, in the past, more often than not, you're not going to recover it anyway. But now it's almost like defunct. It's really almost impossible to recover it. So I like the idea of being able to, at least my team has one more chance to make this last-ditch effort. What's the right way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the right way to do it, to increase the possibility of an onside kick recovery. I think the way it goes now is the only way you get the onside kick back is if a opponent on the receiving team makes a mistake, whether the ball bounces off them, they fumble the ball, or something of that nature. And how common is that? I mean, it used to be the onside kick. It seemed like, well, you never know what's going to happen. Well, now you got a pretty good fair enough shot. I'm not sure exactly what the percentages are of, the onside kick conversion. But any chance to get it a little higher, I'm all for it because, people are in tune to the last seconds of a game that's close. So why not make it more interesting, and why not give the receiving team a chance to recover?
Well, it's the one, what I really like about the college game, and I'm not like this massive fan of any college team. But what I like about the college game is in the final few minutes, even if you're down a couple of scores, you feel like you have a chance because the clock stops all the time. So the game's like never ending, Like if you get the ball back at your own 15-yard line in the NFL with 40 seconds to play and you have no timeouts, you've got no chance, really. I mean, you need an absolute miracle. If you get the ball back at your own 18-yard line with no timeouts and 40 seconds left to play in college football, you feel like you have a chance, because the clock stops with the first down. I actually would not mind that rule in the NFL because it does feel like those final 2 minutes so often are ending with kneel downs instead of realistic chances to win the game, come back and win the game. I really like that part of, as a viewer, as a consumer of the college game versus the NFL game. And I guess that's what we're getting down to. How do you make it even more dramatic, right? How do you give yourself a chance? How do you keep people right to the end? And at times, I feel like the NFL game has a bit of a feel, it's a bit anticlimactic, where you're like, okay, well, that's it. There goes the last 1 minute and 40 seconds because they just, melted the clock down once again. Is that too drastic?
No, I don't think it's drastic. I mean, not every game can be, the Cardinals-Bills game of last year where Kyler Murray threw that Hail Mary and everyone's at the edge of their seat. Obviously, I was because, I felt about Kyler Murray last year. So I don't think it's too aggressive. I think that the NFL embraces making exciting games and making games that are super competitive. And sometimes, we've had games where they're just blowouts, and I understand that's always going to happen. So that's just the way that the landscape of the NFL works. But at the same time, if you have an opportunity to make it just even a little more exciting, why wouldn't you do that if you're the NFL in terms of ratings, everything like that? So, yeah, I don't think it's too aggressive.
Let's see what else we have here, okay? a significant restriction on blocking below the waist beyond 5 yards of the line of scrimmage and 2 yards outside of the offensive tackle. I think the casual fan's like, okay, tell me when it's called. Prohibiting playoff teams from signing players who had been cut by teams whose seasons were complete. That's an interesting one. And didn't that happen this year? I mean, this past year's rules were really funny. Remember, it was the Green Bay guy? Like, who had he was like a practice squatter, I think Green Bay ended up signing, and he had driven from, like, New York to maybe Cleveland and then played, like, in 2 playoff games in the same week.
Yeah.
Or it's on the roster for it.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a little bit, once, if you're going to pick somebody up, you better go pick them up from, like, the CFL or a guy that's hasn't played or isn't on a roster. I think that's what they're saying. I don't mind that, but I also don't know if this is just crazy example of a player who's impacted a postseason so much because he had just been picked up by a team that season was over.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, it can come down to that one day. I don't have an issue with it per se, but at the same time, I can see an issue where if a guy is on a playoff team and he goes to another playoff team, like, there could be like insider, like trading, you could say, or something like that. Where, I don't think it's the most fair thing. I think that once you're in the playoffs, the rosters are set in terms of, sure, you can bring on free agents and things like that, but as far as like trading for players, like, listen, there's a reason why you can't trade week 14, week 15 in fantasy football, because there could be collusion. So I think the same thing should be applied actually in the regular NFL, where once you get to the playoffs, trades probably aren't going to be a thing, or even signing a guy from a different team aren't going to be a thing.
All right, 2 more here. Requiring teams to report tryouts and visits to the league office throughout the year. I don't think we really care about that. I just wonder if Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter are the ones that presented that rule proposal. That way they can get all the breaking news.
Oh, absolutely, man. Everyone's got to look out for themselves. I get it.
And the last one, a request from the Kansas City Chiefs to relax rules for uniform numbers. Are you a uniform number guy, and you were number 92 when you played for the Jags? If you couldn't have been number 92, or if you didn't have to be number 92, or have that what is it, as a defensive end, like 92, 99 or something?
Yeah, and then you can go in the 50s too, I think, as well.
That's right, yeah. And so if you didn't have to do that, would you have chosen some wild and crazy number or different number?
No, I don't think so, because, like, I came up out of high school rocking 88, and then college was 97, and then NFL was 92. So I would probably be a 2-digit guy. But, like, Jalen Ramsey says that he's trying to get number 2 now, and I'm sure you're going to see some big defensive tackles if this rule goes in, rocking that single-digit number. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I have no problem, with the uniform numbers. I know people are making a big deal about it, and it's actually probably the biggest rule implemented in terms of trending on Twitter right now, because everyone seems to be talking about it. Sure. I mean, hey, if defensive tackles want to rock a single digit and the coaches are cool with it, why not? The more the merrier. We kind of live in a time where we got to cater to everybody, and we got to keep thinking about everybody's needs. Well, think about the big defensive tackle that wants to wear number 2 or number 3. Let them do it, man.
Here's the thing about the numbers. Like, I would say from a player perspective and from an overall perspective, I'm like, who cares? But I will say this, as a viewer now of the NFL, it's actually more difficult to kind of identify in college because the numbers are all over the place. When I see, and I'm watching a game and I'm not super familiar with that team, I'm like, oh, okay, that's the linebacker. It's got to be, right? I mean, he's wearing like 50-something,
Yeah.
So you do you're so used to it, again, as the consumer and watching it,